So without further ado, I would like to introduce tonight's author, Jenny Allen. Would Everyone Please Stop is a compilation of humorous essays detailing Allen's grappling with the confusing and sometimes absurd world we all live in today. NPR calls the book hilarious and heartfelt and praises Allen's ability to be playful and sarcastic while also astute, navigating with readers the realities of parenting, illness, and the search for stability and satisfaction in a constantly changing world. Some of you may know Jenny from her work, which has been featured in publications such as The New Yorker and The New York Times, or some of you may know her as a friend, or perhaps even as from her career as a performer. Either way, we are all delighted to welcome Jenny to the store tonight. So please join me in welcoming Jenny Allen.
It's funny the way I bring my purse with me, like it's only going to be safe over here with me. Thank you very much for coming. It is just wonderful of everybody to turn out on a warm Saturday night when they could be by a pool. Yeah, there are essays and there's humor pieces in this book, and I'm going to read, I hope, some of the sillier pieces. The essays are a little more earnest, maybe. So sometimes it's a little more fun to read the funnier, I hope, pieces. And I know with this book, it seems when I was thinking about it, of course, after I wrote it, this is a kind of woman's voice who it's a very nervous book. I think I decided it's about mostly a voice of a woman who's pretty nervous about things, and maybe only a little bit more nervous than me. And sometimes she takes a big turn into left turn into crazy town, but mostly she's just pretty high strung. Anyway, this first one is called My Gratitudes. Sometimes I forget to do my gratitudes, and that's just dumb. Because when we don't take time each day to count our gratitudes, our ingratitudes just rush right in and take over. And then we are off to the races, are we not? Life seems to hold nothing but the many unfortunate, heartbreaking, humiliating things that happen to us, sometimes in a single day. Our existence merely an accretion of thousands upon thousands of those days. Our only prospect in old age in which we are sure to get stranger and more ill-tempered by the minute, until we finally die alone and in diapers, leaving all of our money to two cats named Bosco and Archduke Vladimir von Fürsten Kitty. What I'm saying is that we can always find things to be thankful for, even the unluckiest among us, and it only takes a few minutes each day. Some of your gratitudes can be for things that have happened to you that are bad, but that you can repurpose into positives. For example, being a permalancer for a company that would rather blow itself up than hire you as a real employee. You're barely making a living wage, that's true, and you get no health benefits. On the upside, the gratitude side. You do get to steal pretty much all the office supplies you want, and you're not invited to the interminable Friday morning staff meetings where Ron takes up an hour bloviating about his dumb ideas. Another example. No one except Horny for You and Hillbilly Goat has favorited you on Match.com in like a month. Sad in a way, but turn it around. If you did meet and marry someone, he'd probably turn out to be one of those men with a whole nother family in another state. And you would be certain to find this out in some especially sickening way. You'd see a photo in the paper of a Little League team that won the regionals and think, my, that coach looks just like my Steve. Or you'd be taking your kids on a little road trip and you'd run into your husband and his other wife and their 4 children at a Denny's, laughing and eating pancakes. You can also be grateful that the bad things that have happened to you at least haven't happened to you again today. Like, I'm grateful that today a ticket taker at the movie theater didn't ask me if I was a senior citizen, and then, when I said no, say, really? That was last week. And once you put your gratitude's thinking cap on, they just come at you, one after the other, like shiny presents on Christmas morning. Take something as simple as your name. Maybe you don't like your name. It's bland or it's hard to pronounce, but at least you didn't have to grow up with a last name like Butts or Breasted or Hyman or Crotchley, or a first name that rhymes with vagina, such as Janina or Jemima or Regina. Although if I were named Regina, I would definitely just lie and tell everyone it was pronounced Regina. Speaking of names, I'm grateful every day not to know that I'm a distant and yet blood relative of Hermann Goering, Kool-Aid cultist Tim Jones, Tiny Tim, or Rudolph Giuliani. This is because I never go on Ancestry.com. And I urge you to do the same. Going on Ancestry.com is just borrowing trouble. And who needs trouble when we are gathering our gratitudes? Right? Apropos my health, I'm grateful that I don't suffer from horrific cluster headaches. It's so excruciating they can drive their sufferers to suicide, and instead just have tension headaches, even if they have them like all day. And although I suffer from a variety of other digestive, don't ask, ailments, a big shout out of health gratitude for not sending me with a minor cut to the emergency room, there to contract a flesh-eating bacteria from the germ-soaked hospital air, requiring the grafting of skin from my buttocks onto my face. Merci, gratitude gods for that. Okay, I wish I had a bigger apartment. Who doesn't? But at least Robert Durst has not moved in the hall, moved in across the hall and sought out my friendship by knocking on my door and asking to borrow one of my frocks, right? Also, since my apartment is a walk-up, there is no chance I will get stuck in a broken elevator for 7 hours with a Jones and Crystal meth addict and his increasingly peckish dog, a Rottweiler pit bull mix. Apartment-wise, I'm also grateful that 5 firemen didn't show up at my door just now and ordered me to evacuate the building because of a gas leak on my floor. I would have had to go outside in what I am wearing, an old chenille bedspread that I have turned into a sarong, and a T-shirt that I think I used as a cleaning rag for a while, and stand around on the sidewalk while Con Ed fixed the problem, and then some street fashion photographer would take my picture and publish it in one of those fashion do's and don'ts columns as the lead don't. You know what I'm also grateful for? That I haven't been purposely tripped by one of those disturbing, mean cartoon characters in Times Square. A Smurf or a Minnie Mouse sprained my shoulder in my fall and then had all the cartoon characters gather around to heckle me while I lay sprawled on the street. My last memory before passing out from pain being snickered at by a dirty Ernie and a Teletubby. They do that in New York. They have these rather creepy characters. As far as other public humiliations go, I am truly grateful today and every day that I am not an unattractive 8th grader at a snobby private girls' school whose more popular classmates have decided to practice witchcraft on me by sticking pins into a doll they have given my name and then tweeted about it. Some of the girls would invariably be the daughters of rich and famous parents, and their tweets and my name would become an item on page 6 of the New York Post, guaranteeing that I would be known forever as the loser who was tormented by amateur Wiccans. I think that's about it for this morning's gratitudes. I've totally turned around my outlook on the day, ready to face the endless crap that will come my way, except for my closing gratitude, which I always try to give a not dead theme, to remind myself that just being alive is better than dying, or certainly dying gruesomely. So today, I am grateful that I am not 3/4 of the way up Mount Everest, with a storm brewing at the peak and a cocky guide who, in spite of warnings from our Sherpas, has convinced our entire party that we should go for it. Bad idea. I will spend my last moments on Earth stumbling around on my frozen legs through blinding snow until I fall fatally into a chasm. It makes dying at home in diapers sound like, well, okay, not fun, but something to be, in a way, totally grateful for. So is this, as we say in stand-up, is this working? Can everybody hear me? All right. I really couldn't tell. Hello. Oh, I guess it is, huh? All right. So, this is another piece by a nervous lady, and this is actually based on, if anybody cares, based on a something that happened to me. If people say, "Where do you get your ideas?" And this idea, the answer is everywhere, because there are so many things that happen to you in the course of a day. And one day I did find a list, somebody else's errands list, at the dump, at our local dump where I go. And you know that strange intimate thing of when you come across somebody else's errands? It's very odd, isn't it? And this woman's errands were so great that I saved them, and I thought I could do something with this, and eventually I did. These are not her exact errands, but they were very close to these. And I cleaned it up a bit and didn't say I got them at the dump. I did say I got them at the supermarket because I thought that sounded a little less like my life. Okay, this is called Can I Have Your Errands? Hello, errand lady. I don't know your name, but I just found your list of errands in the supermarket at the bottom of my grocery cart. Here is your list, written on the back of a marked up scorecard that says Misty Meadows Golf and Tennis Club. Here's the list. Take in Lexus, Derm-filler. Take R to groomer, B Brothers suspenders, gin, vodka. I love your handwriting. I always wanted to have handwriting like yours, pleasingly rounded with lots of loops. The L's are shaped like ovals standing on end, and with those N's that look like U's, you know, and the M's that look like W's. It's the handwriting of boarding school girls who never failed to write their thank you notes. Dear Grandois, thank you so much for generously covering my tuition to Miss Porter's. If I had the same lovely handwriting as you, maybe I would have the same errands as you. That's kind of true when you think about it. I mean, if I had that same handwriting, it would be because I had grown up in that kind of milieu. One that would probably have led to a life a lot more like yours than mine, which I would love. My errands blow, they really do. Here's my list. You don't even have to read past laundromat to get the idea. Laundromat kind of says it all, doesn't it? But here goes. Laundromat, dump, hardware store, termite killer stuff, Drano, duct tape for lamp cord and dishwasher and pipes, plastic for windows, find a job! Exclamation point. See what I mean? I don't want to sound bitter. I'm not, honest. But have you ever even written the word laundromat? I didn't think so. Anyway, it wouldn't look like a word if you wrote it. It would look like laundromat. I have this idea. Let me do your errands for you, just for a day. It would make me the happiest girl in the world. Okay, first I will take in the Lexus. I assume this means that I am taking it to your Lexus dealer because there's something, wrong with it. Nothing hugely wrong because it's a Lexus after all. And it's pretty new. Just like the image on that TV screen on the dashboard that shows whether you're about to back into a tree or whatnot is a little too fuzzy for your liking. If you have a Lexus, you shouldn't have to put up with that sort of thing, right? The exciting thing about taking the Lexus to the dealership is that they are going to give me a loaner while they repair your car. That's what they do if you have an expensive car. They give you another Lexus while they fix yours. I won't mind. Au contraire, I will love it. Oh, this one's just a loaner, I will say to people. God, I want to be able to say that so bad. Next, I will go to the derm, that's your dermatologist, of course, and get filler to plump up the wrinkles in my face. Oh, boy. Normally, I object to this sort of thing, but I am going to give myself a pass for the day. I'll release myself from the burden of my prissy self-righteous objections about caving into our culture's obsession with youth and appearance, blah, blah, blah. To tell you the truth, that will be a big relief, because these wrinkles are just a total bummer, and anything I've said about not minding them or wearing them with pride is utter bullshit. Oh, I cut a little bit here, so we're not here all night. I'm not really a dog person, I have to say, so I hope it is all right if I make R sit in the back of the car. You probably let him sit in the passenger seat, but I don't want him putting his head in my lap and slobbering it all over me when I take him to the groomer. But you know what I will love about R? Just having the kind of life, if only for a day, in which taking a dog to the groomer is a thing. An important thing that I have to do. Did you have a good day? Your husband probably says to you when he gets home from work, and some days you say, well, I took Rusty to the groomer, and he says, oh, thanks, he sure needed that. I'm so glad you don't have a job so that you have the time to get these things done. And you say, I know, right? Speaking of your husband, I guess he's the one I'm picking up the suspenders at Brooks Brothers for. The only guys I know who wear suspenders are money guys, and I'm probably not going too far out on a limb here when I say that I'm thinking that your husband is most likely an investment banker of some sort. I've never understood the message that investment bankers are trying to send with suspenders. I'm the sort of fellow whose pants will never fall down, so you can trust me with your money. But never mind. Whatever makes him feel good about himself is important. And I will feel good knowing that I've done my part in making him so ridiculously successful. I'm almost done with your errands, but first I have to stop at the liquor store. Are you having a party? Is that what the gin and vodka are for? Good for you. You can invite me if you want. You know what kind of friends I bet you have? The kind who drink all the time but don't know they're alcoholics. They don't even secretly suspect it. They're just totally clueless, the way people used to be in the 50s. Amazing that such people still exist, but they do. People who still say, it must be 5 o'clock somewhere, and start hoisting Bloody Marys at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. I hope your friends are like that, because these are the kind of people who are a lot of fun to drink with. They never say, are you sure you haven't had enough? They don't even ask if you want another drink. They just keep bringing you fresh drinks over and over. Of course you want another drink, they think. You're there, aren't you? So after I get the alcohol, I'm done. But just before I deliver the loaner, Lexus, and R, and the booze, and the suspenders to you, I'll take a few minutes. I will park somewhere for a little while and just sit and breathe in the fabulous smell of that leather interior and flip through the copy of Town and Country I found next to your seat and think, what a great, great day. Okay, this is the last one. Are we okay as to time? Where's my friends who work here? Lovely Jonathan and Matt, are we all right? All right. So this one is a really silly one, everybody, so bear with me. I do have the page marked, and here it is. This one is called Talk Therapy. The following interview with Mr. Elmer Fudd, patient 56778, was conducted by Dr. Marvin Seligman, senior staff psychiatrist at Acme Psychiatric Hospital. Patient Fudd was found wandering in a forest, disoriented and in a state of mental and physical exhaustion. He carried a shotgun whose barrel had been tied into a large bow, like that on top of a gift. He said that a quasi wabbit had done this, and that this act was the was stoir. The troop of Boy Scouts who discovered the sportsman brought him to Acme, where he was admitted earlier today. Mr. Fudd told the admitting nurse he was uncertain how many days he had been in the woods, though he has said he is accustomed to spending the entirety of hunting season there. Mr. Fudd is middle-aged, short, bald, and somewhat overweight, with a disproportionately large head. He presented as generally despondent and morose, though sudden bursts of rage and thin-skinned hypersensitivity suggest underlying mood lability. Below are the transcribed notes of his entrance interview. Why don't you tell me a bit about yourself, Mr. Fudd?
I'm a hunter. I hunt wabbits. One wabbit.
Do you enjoy your work?
Not really.
And why is that, do you think?
Because a wabbit always outwits me.
Outwits you?
Oh, you are horrible. You're a meanie. I got a gun, you know. It may be tied into a bow, but I could still smack you right on the head with it.
Forgive me, I just wasn't sure. Never mind. He outwits you. Please continue.
He's a trickster. Very clever, very devious. Sometimes, when I have my gun right in his face, he just takes out a big carrot and chews on it as relaxed and nonchalant as you please. This gets me all distracted, and I forget that I'm supposed to be hunting him, especially when he asks me if I've seen any rabbits around and if he can help me hunt for them. Sometimes he fools me by dressing up as a ballerina or Mae West and kissing me on the lips, which I hate. Then he sticks his stupid carrot right into the end of my gun, and when I pull the trigger, all the buckshot explodes right in my face. And then he just laughs and laughs.
May I ask how long you have been hunting this particular rabbit?
Ever since I can remember, my whole life.
And yet you continue to pursue him.
My motto is, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Mr. Fudd, do the words perseverating and perseverance have any significance for you?
They both have two R's I can't pronounce.
True, but I'm thinking about the meanings of the words. In perseverating, we practice a kind of repetition compulsion, an obsessive need to repeat over and over an action that is futile, while in persevering, we attempt to attain a realistic and healthy goal. I must say to you, difficult as it may be to hear, that I feel it is extremely unlikely you will ever catch this rabbit.
Who asked you anyway, Mr. Smarty Pants?
But perhaps you don't want to catch him. Perhaps you have picked a rabbit who is uncatchable, at least by you.
Well, that's crazy. Why would anyone do that?
Well, perhaps that is what you have come here to Acme to work through. Let me ask you this. How do you think you'd feel if you did catch this rabbit?
Oh, many times I think I have caught him. And he seems to be dying in my arms. He says, I can't see, everything's turning black, black.
And how does that feel?
Truthfully, terrible. These feelings of great shame wash over me, and I say, I kill a poor little gray fuzzy rabbit. And then I cry and cry.
In other words, as soon as you think you have slain your adversary, the very goal you've been struggling so mightily to achieve, you are overwhelmed with feelings of remorse.
Pretty much.
Well, why is that, do you think?
How should I know? But I always get mad right away again because he jumps up and calls me a big dope or turns his long ears into propellers and flies away.
And the whole cycle begins anew.
Well, what the heck am I supposed to do? Take up another line of work at this late stage?
Well, change can certainly be a scary prospect, Mr. Fudd. But what I'm hearing is that you don't even enjoy the successful outcome of your hunt, as ephemeral as it may be. Perhaps being a hunter isn't who you really are. Now, wouldn't it be nice to explore what a more authentic, happier self might be for you?
No. I don't want to be fixed. I don't want to be cured. I'll lose what makes me special, my edge, my drive, my Elmer Fuddness. I'll be just another schmuck with a speech impediment.
Not at all. You will still be Elmer Fudd, but you will be a much less miserable Elmer Fudd, a more fully dimensional Elmer Fudd.
Well, where's the adrenaline rush? Where's the drama?
Well, those intense but fleeting feelings, those highs and lows, would be replaced by the deeper, more fulfilling pleasures of marriage and family, of connection and community and love.
Will I have to go to PTA meeting? Will I have to assemble complicated toys at midnight on Christmas Eve from instructions that have been translated into mangled English from Japanese?
Probably.
Will I have to pretend to be interested when my wife talks about probiotics? Will she have a bunch of relatives whose name I can never remember? Will I have to go shopping at Macy's on Black Friday with the rest of humanity?
Well, all those things are a part of ordinary life.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Yeah, it sounds excruciating.
Do you mean boring?
Oh, to say the least.
Well, it's not as boring as you think. There are moments of great excitement, great stimulation.
What moments?
Well, there's sex, for one thing.
I don't even know what that is.
Well, then you're in for a treat, Mr. Fudd.
Is it white hunting a crazy rabbit?
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
Is it humiliating and frustrating? And afterwards, do you feel the pain of regret?
No, not usually. Well, only sometimes.
Really?
Well, yes.
That's good enough for me. I'm in.
Mr. Fudd seemed greatly cheered by this prospect, breaking into sudden staccato laughter. I can't do it. At this moment, this interviewer experienced a sudden sinking realization. Mr. Fudd is hardwired to experience pain as pleasure. It is his nature, nothing less. It is recommended that a bed at Acme be reserved annually for Mr. Fudd, so that he may spend several days recovering from the rigors of the useless pursuit of his foe. He should then be released, back to the forest, back to the rabbit who torments him so successfully. Some things you just can't fix. Oh. It's not a... So, thank you for listening. Thank you for again coming. Does anybody have any questions? Isn't that the thing to ask? If anybody has any questions about this little... I frankly thought it would be thicker than it is. I spent many years putting this book together, and it's a little slenderer than I thought. Everything I know is in this book. And it's pretty light. But anyway, is anybody curious about anything? Hello. Yeah.
How did you decide to go with this club?
I think I was I don't know why I was watching probably one of those YouTube black holes led me to Elmer Fudd. I don't remember what it was, but I had not remembered from my youth his deep neuroses of Elmer Fudd. The thing that got me was his remorse every time. And then I went and looked at a lot of Elmer Fudd, and they're all the same. He feels terrible, terrible afterwards, and he loves that rabbit. And of course, Bugs is so the original cross-dresser. He is just the greatest, and their relationship fascinated me. But I also thought he reminded me of a kind of person who just really, really loves to live in the problem over and over and over again. It seems to enjoy it, and there's no way to help people like that. You know, I'm sure we all know people like that. They just prefer that roundelay, kind of. So that amused me, but thanks for asking. I wish I had a more serious reason, but I don't. Does anybody here write humor? No, I bet you all do, but in some fashion or another.
Jenny, I want to say hi. It's been 45 years. We were in college together.
No.
With Ermer.
Oh my goodness.
And you were,
I guess Facebook works, right?
I didn't even go there.
Kitty, how nice to see you. Thank you for coming. We have a couple of other college classmates. Dick Griffin is here somewhere. And Jerry Weaver is here. And maybe others I don't know. How are you?
Good. And Jenny was always a young, earnest, witty, chain-smoking, talented, quirky gal. And I'm delighted to see you now.
Thank you for coming, I think. No, I'm so happy to see you. How are you? Good? Oh, I'd love that. Hello, Joan.
Which piece is your favorite?
I do like this Elmer Fudd piece to read out loud. I do. I think my favorite, I guess I do have a favorite. This piece that starts the book is called I'm Awake, and that was a piece that I really just kind of I think I was very a little tired of doing the feature journalism that I was doing, and I thought I really didn't have anything to lose by trying something different. I mean, I had tried things in fits and starts over the years, but I really just went off the deep end and thought, this is really what I think about in the middle of the night. And I did think it was very crazy, and but they did run it in the New Yorker, and a lot of people identified with it. And I did learn that I still do have this feeling when I send something to them or send something out to try to get it published. I think this one really is crazy, and it seems to plug in. Just what I've learned, that before I do press send, that if it seems really crazy to me, then it has a better shot. Not to be so afraid of that. Yeah. A lot of women identified with that being awake in the night. I got a lot of mileage out of that. People still talk to me about that because they think they're the only ones, that they're up for hours regretting everything they ever did or remembering recipes for things it's just, it's actually gotten a little bit better for me over the years because I'm just kind of relax into it now. I don't know about you other and I'm sure many men are up in the middle of the night. It's not that much fun. But if you kind of just sort of know that that's your fate, it's not so terrible. Yeah, so I do have a great fondness for that piece. And most of them are kind of fun to read out loud. They're kind of monologue-y, and so the ones that are funnest to read out loud, I really enjoy doing. Thanks for asking. Yes, hello there. I think so. My sister is here.
Would you
Somewhere.
mind repeating the question?
I think I was a kid who made people laugh. I do remember Nina, my oldest friend, is here. Did I make? And Margie Daly is here. I've known since elementary school. I think I was kind of funny. Okay, thank you. Definitely, that my clack. I do remember thinking that I do remember my dad was very funny, and some people here knew him. He was very funny, and I remember making him laugh one particular time and thinking, "Oh, this is my power," but that I got to do this again. Or it confirmed that I was sort of funny, and also I was the third child, so. I think that's naturally the kind of jokester, clowny one. Isn't the third child the sort of cutie cut up? I think that was true in our family. Third? Well, a third of three. Oh, excuse me, I didn't say that. Third of this many. Sorry, the baby. I was the baby. That's what I meant, Deborah. I'm so sorry. And then my dad had 3 younger children, separate family. So, but that they're much younger. They're great, but they were much younger. So I was the baby of that one. Very powerful for me because he was known to be a funny guy. Were you funny too? Oh, my sister's the middle child. That's a lot of work to be the second child. You get away with a murder when you're the third, I'm afraid. I'm afraid you do. Does anybody just want to? Who do you read that's funny? Do you like Shouts and Murmurs? Do you like that? The Daily Shouts? I do too. And, there's a new editor. I mean, Emma Allen is now the official editor of that too. She's young and she's good. She's the cartoon editor too. I like it too. Not always, but I like it. Where else do you read funny things? I'm always looking for where to read funny things. Hello again. Please.
So, how is it different writing a book as opposed to writing for your performance?
Well, it's different. So 2 of these pieces were stories that I told at the Moth, or no, one of them was from a show that I did, this like solo show that was a monologue, and then there's a piece that was in the Moth that was spoken and had to be written. It's it's quite different when you tell a story. Well, not when you're reading some of your written work out loud, but if you're telling storytelling on stage, your master is this narrative, and you cannot leave the narrative. So that means that metaphors can go bye-bye. And pretty writing, I'm sure you've heard people like this. It's why sometimes when people read things out loud on the radio, it's insufferable. Their writing, it just sounds precious and overwrought, even though on the page it doesn't. The spoken word should be more conversation, should be more colloquial, and your loyalty is to telling that story, not to how great a writer you are. So all that has to go. There has to be more air in it, and it has to move, and there can't be any deviations, in my opinion, which I think is the correct opinion. Writing, I love to write. I love words. So sometimes it's really hard for me to give up a pretty phrase or a word that I really love or a metaphor, but I've learned to do that. And that's its own deep pleasure to do things out loud. And I love having an audience. It's my favorite thing. It's so much more fun than writing. And almost anything isn't that true, Jackson? Oof. It's so hard. So hard, and you have to sit there so long. It's not that much fun, I find. But hello, and we'll just.
What is your writing schedule? Like some people like do it every morning.
Yes, I've tried to get up. I don't try to get up early. I wake up early. and I work at home, so I find that a lot of things happen around my house that I try to, starting about 9 o'clock, people start coming to my house, fixing things, and things happen. The phone rings, or the plumber comes over, and things happen. I can't explain it. I wish I know these other people who just, I work for 6 hours, and then nobody disturbs me, and then later I get the whole world just comes to my door, I feel like, knocks at my door and asks for things, and I welcome the distractions, I guess, or they wouldn't come if I weren't friendly, I suppose. But so I try to write early in the day. And then I find when I travel, does this happen to anybody? When I find that if I'm on a plane or on a train, I have you're liberated from your domestic and office things, and your mind actually can go some interesting places. I find it very wonderful to sit on Amtrak and watch that landscape go by, and things. I don't know, what is that? It's a lightness of being that comes from traveling. I don't ever get a lot done, but I get a surprising amount done on route places. Or should we take one more? Hello, Barbara, dear.
Can you share with us some of your acting experience?
Oh, I don't know if it's that. You mean, well, I do with this show that I still do 10 years later. You know that character in Long Day's Journey into Night, the father who keeps doing the Count of Monte Cristo for 37 years? I feel like but I love doing it. It's a show called I Got Sick, Then I Got Better, and it's about having had cancer, and I still get called and asked to do it, and they pay me a little money, places to go and do it, and I love doing that. And sometimes I do plays in New York. I've done a couple of plays in New York. I'm going to do I have a friend who did a wonderful play here that I've been dying for her to get another production together, a woman named Deb Margolin. I think Nina and Jeff went to this play about Madoff called Imagining Madoff, and I'm going to do that in next fall. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was at we went together, I think. Yeah, we went together. A wonderful play about Madoff, and remember his secretary who was very loyal to him, and it's a wonderful part. So, and I've done a couple of plays of hers. I did a play at New York called Love, Loss, and What I Wore, which was really fun. And I do a lot of plays on the vineyard, on Martha's Vineyard, where I live now, in a ramshackly little falling down house that I write about a little in here. Anyway, should we all go have the rest of our evenings? What time is it, may I ask? I left my... It's 20 of 7? 20 of 7? And does anybody want to hear like one more piece? Yeah. Shall I do that awake one? Are you sure? Because somebody did it on Symphony Space on NPR, so I feel like everybody's heard that piece enough. Okay. All right, twist my arm. Okay. All right. I'll do it. Okay. They hired some actress to do it on Symphony Space. I don't remember who it was. I mean, you know, that thing that goes out like selected shorts. But it's nice they pay you so much money, like $25, to use your material. When are we writers going to get smart? Well, why did we miss that memo that like we need to get paid for our work? Where were we all that day? I wonder. Okay, this is called I'm Awake. I'm up. Are you up? I'm not up, not doing things up, because I'm supposed to be sleeping. I'm trying to go back to sleep. But I'm awake. Awake, awake, awake. That's what Buddha said. Buddha said, I am awake. Buddha got that idea, that whole concept from a middle-aged woman, I'm sure. Not that this sleepless business ends at any time. I think you have to die first. If you added up all the hours I've been awake, it would come to years by now. 50 may be the new 40, but it feels like the new 80. Thank you. That is a very good idea. But I already took a sleeping pill. I fell asleep right away. It's bliss, that drugged drifting off. But now I'm awake again. That always happens. I fall asleep and boom, I fall asleep, boom. And then 4 or 5 hours later, I wake up like it's my turn on watch, like I've had 3 cups of coffee, like I've just had a full night's sleep. But if I act as if I've had a full night's sleep, if I get up and do things, I will be a goner after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I will confuse the TV remote with a cordless phone and try to answer it. I will not notice any of my typos. I will type pubic school this and pubic school that in my emails to people whose public schools I am looking at for my daughter. I did do that. I did do that. I will scramble words as if I have had a small stroke. I will say, I'd like to dress in ressing, and then I will have to make one of those dumb Alzheimer's jokes. I could take another sleeping pill, but I worry about that. I worry about becoming too used to sleeping pills. Sleeping pills always make me think of Judy Garland. Oh, poor Judy. It's funny about the name Judy, isn't it? No one names anyone Judy anymore. Do you ever meet 5-year-old Judys? But half the women I know are named Judy. You would probably be safe when meeting any woman over 50 just to say, nice to meet you, Judy. Most of the time you would be right. I'm going to lie here and fall asleep counting all the Judys I know. 13 Judys, including my ex-husband's ex-wife, who's very nice, by the way. Some people who knew my ex-husband before I knew him used to call me Judy. Hey, Judy, how are you? They'd say, and I never corrected them. Who could blame them when they knew so many Judys? Although I did sort of hope that later they realized they'd called me the wrong name and made note of my graciousness in not saying anything. I can't believe I called her Judy, and her husband's ex-wife is named Judy. She could have been really unpleasant about that, but she didn't say anything at all. What a fine and self-restrained person she is. I'm going to try and be more like her. Are all my Judy friends up like me? Judy in Brooklyn Heights, are you up? Judy on Amsterdam Avenue. Judy in Carroll Gardens. Judy in Morningside Heights. Judy on Riverside Drive. I'm here in my bed imagining I can see you outside my window. I probably could see a few of you if you waved at me. One of my bedroom windows looks out on a nice-sized chunk of the city. But I am imagining that I am seeing all of you, like the teacher on Romper Room when I was little. She used to hold a big magnifying glass the size of a tennis racket in front of her face so that it was between her and you. Do you remember her? What was her name? Oh, I loved her so much. And she would say, I see Leslie and Barbara and Scott and Bruce and Judy. And I see Karen and Peter and Derek. She must have called my name because I knew she saw me. That is how I feel about my friends when I lie awake at night. I see them. I see all the Judys. And I see Jackie and Nina and Polly and Ellie, Naomi and Cindy and Kathy and the Deborahs, 3. I see them lying there in their nighties, their faces shiny with moisturizer. Some of us lie alone. Some of us lie next to another person who is enragingly sleeping like a log. How can these people next to us sleep so profoundly? They snore. They shake their restless leg syndrome legs all over their side of the bed. They mutter protests in their dreams. I didn't say Elmira. And it's not yours. They're making a regular racket, and yet they sleep on. Sleepless friends, I am thinking about you. Judy on Riverside Drive. Are you worried about your rewrites? Bina, are you thinking about your new twin grandchildren? Are you worried about your daughter getting worn out taking care of them? Mimi, are you thinking of whom you haven't had lunch with lately? You are 86 years old. That is 237 in Wakeful Woman years. Congratulations for hanging in there. Sometimes when I first go to sleep for the night, I fall asleep to the television. And this is a strange thing. No matter what I have fallen asleep watching, when I wake up, what's on is Girls Gone Wild. I never turn the channel to Girls Gone Wild, let alone turn up the volume, but the volume is ear-splitting. How have I slept for even 1 minute with the volume so high? Am I going deaf? My goodness, those girls must sleep well when they finally do sleep. I have to change the channel right away when I wake up to Girls Gone Wild. Does anybody know about that show? It's oh my goodness, it's very dirty. When I wake up to Girls Gone Wild because, well, of course, because I don't want to watch it, but also because I always think about the girls' mothers, and that upsets me. I worry about their mothers up in the middle of the night, waking up to Girls Gone Wild on the television. Well, that looks just like Madeline. Oh, my God. Oh, look! Law and Order is on. I've seen this episode. Do they run the same ones over and over? Or is it just that I've seen every single episode that exists? What a scary thought. Fortunately, I never remember what happens after the opening scene when they find the body, so I can watch them all over again. That was a good one. I'm still awake. When did I last sleep well? That sleep when you touched your head to the pillow and slept so soundly you woke up wondering how it could be morning when you hadn't even fallen asleep yet? My children sleep like this sometimes, especially the younger one. Did I go to sleep yet, she asks on occasion. I didn't appreciate it when I was young, naturally. Did you sleep well? People would ask me in the morning, and I would think, of course I slept well. Isn't sleeping poorly a contradiction in terms? Friends, are you still up? It seems inefficient somehow for us all to be awake separately. Wouldn't it be great if we could pool all our separate little tributaries of wakeful energy into one mighty Mississippi and then harness it like a WPA project, like the Hoover Dam? We could power something. We could get the other awake women in other cities and light up the entire eastern seaboard and have huge middle-of-the-night parties for all the women who are awake. I should read. No, reading is too hard for the dead of night. It has too many words in it, including words I might not know. If I read a word I don't know, I will feel compelled to scrawl it on whatever piece of paper is on my bedside table, and then hope I'll be able to read my writing tomorrow. If I am too lazy to write down the word, I will have to decide whether to dog-ear the page. Bad reader citizenship. And I don't want the burden of that choice now in the middle of the night. Also, even if I do look up a word tomorrow, I won't remember the definition next week. I keep looking up the same words over and over. Fungible. Heliotrope. How many times am I supposed to look up the same words? I used to remember the definitions, but I haven't for years. I still know a lot of words, though. Cleave is a funny word because it means to sunder, and strangely, it also means to stick to. Ouster is a funny word. Ouster sounds like it should mean a person. A person who ousts other people. But it doesn't. It means the act of getting rid of someone, not the person who does the getting rid of. Temerity sounds like it means timid, but it doesn't. It means the opposite. It means brave. Timorous is another word for timid, but why not just say timid? Timmy was the name of the boy in Lassie, the television show. The theme music for the show was melancholy, shockingly so. It made you yearn. It made you homesick, even as you watched it in the den in your home. When was Lassie on? Bonanza was on Sunday nights, I think. There were 3 brothers in Bonanza, Adam, Hoss, and Little Joe. My sister was quiet, and she liked Adam the best. My brother wore clothes from the Husky department, so he liked Hoss, who was hefty, the best. I liked Little Joe because I was the youngest. And so was Little Joe. Also, I was a scamp and cute, like Little Joe. I am still awake. Only now everything is sort of blending together. It's the time of night when I think I finally might be losing my mind for good. Here's a snatch of the theme song from Lassie, but it's blending into the brownie song, the one about I've got something in my pocket that belongs across my face, about a great big brownie smile. Where is my older daughter's Girl Scout badge sash? Why didn't the younger one ever do Girl Scouts? What's in that pot roast recipe besides a cinnamon stick and horseradish and a can of cranberry sauce? What was my old zip code when I lived on 3rd Avenue? Why didn't I submit that expense account worth $1,000 9 years ago? Instead of going crazy, maybe I will just lie here and regret things. Let's see, can I blame the really big mistakes on others? Didn't they fail me? Didn't they provoke me? Didn't they just drive me to it? Didn't they really strain my patience? Didn't they expect too much of me? No, face it, you did all those things, all the bad and regrettable things. Now you have to sit with it, as Buddha would say. In your case, of course, lie with it. Not exactly the path to slumberland. Oh, look, the sky is purple now, not black. It's going to be daylight. Dawn. How are you, Dawn? How's it going? As long as you're up, I might as well get up too. We can keep each other company. So that's it. Thank you so much thank you for asking for that.